Despite the obvious warmth in the Saudi-Pakistan relationship, top government officials here say that Saudi Arabia has a quote-unquote much better understanding of India's concerns on terror and that it had strongly denounced the Pulwama attack. Government officials here saying that India and Saudi Arabia are likely to have a strong statement on terrorism after Wednesday's meeting between the Crown Prince and Mr. Modi, and that India has a strong independent relationship with Saudi Arabia and that it is Pakistan that should be feeling insecure and not India. Meanwhile, a crucial meeting of the Financial Action Task Force is taking place in Paris this week, where India is hoping to raise its concerns on the way Pakistan shields the Lashkar-e-Taiba and the Jaish-e-Mohammed. Pakistan is currently on a grey list, but it could be on a blacklist by October this year if it doesn't curb terror financing, which means that the kind of world aid, the global aid that they get from the World Bank and the IMF, etc., that could drastically reduce. And that is something that could hurt them economically, which is why that $20 billion by Saudi Arabia is so important from them. Alyssa Iris, for the Council for Foreign Relations, joins us via Skype from Washington, D.C. in this segment tonight. Alyssa Iris, I'm sure you're watching Mohammed bin Salman's visit to South Asia with a certain degree of interest. How do you look at the way his trip to Pakistan firstly has gone off?
Hi, Nidhi. Happy to join. Well, obviously, it looks as if his trip has gone quite well. We don't know what the conversations have been behind the scenes, things that may not be stated publicly. I believe that the statements you've gotten from India's diplomats are true. India has improved its relationship with Saudi Arabia. I would be surprised if there wasn't also a very positive visit for MBS in India when that visit begins. But it is true that, here is a country trying to walk two sides of a very difficult line. I would hope that MBS has followed up the foreign ministry, the Saudi foreign ministry's statement of a few days ago by being pretty clear that Pakistan should not allow its territory to be used to incubate terrorist attacks on neighboring countries.
But, at the same time, Ambassador Casey Singh, you also have a statement, from the Saudi foreign minister talking about, basically, mediating between India and Pakistan, saying that we will de-escalate rising tensions between the two countries. And this comes just on the eve of MBS's visit to Delhi. Now, how should India be looking at this? How do you look at this $20 billion in aid?
That's all right. I don't think we should be concerned with that. If it makes Pakistan secure, economically satisfied, and therefore move away from terrorism, we have no problem with that. We don't want a collapsing Pakistan. To that extent, there's no problem. But how does the Saudi Crown Prince leverage that? If he only wants to play the go-between, then it's a no-no as far as India is concerned. Many times in the past, I remember when I was ambassador in Abu Dhabi, Sheikh Zayed, late Sheikh Zayed, the president, would very often tell visiting intermediaries, tell us we have very good relations with Pakistan. And we'll always say, no, thank you. We're not looking for a mediator. We are looking for a partner who goes and conditions and changes the Pakistani behavior, the way former President Bush did, the way to an extent Obama tried to do. Now, if he only wants to be a go-between, then I'm sorry, that's not what we are looking at. And India is not going to be satisfied with one refinery here, one something there. Okay, he's looking after the large labor in Saudi Arabia, etc. This is a very critical moment, and there are three countries that we need to lean on. We don't need to be listening to their whatever story they give us. One is China. We have to tell them very clearly, Masood Azhar has to be listed. And if you don't agree now, it's an unfriendly act. And you have to lean on the Crown Prince, and you have to lean on the Crown Prince in Abu Dhabi. So it's all right to get 2-3 guys.
You say that to China, they'll say, "Acha, theek hai."
No, that's all right.
It's an unfriendly act.
No, but then there is RCEP. There are various things they need us. At the moment, there's a trade war going on between US, then you tilt another way. So at the moment, we are in a position to tilt multiple ways.
So China,
and don't forget that Pakistani army has been complicit in blowing up the IRGC, 20-odd people, exactly the same way in Iran. Now, that is something which Saudi Arabia loves. They would absolutely hug the Pakistani army chief for that. So how are you going to budge them? And that is their safety mechanism. If having, made Saudi Arabia dependent on them to deal with the eastern flank of Iran, then to that extent, he's not going to lean on them. So if he's going to simply come and tell us, no, they want to move, they're very nice people, they haven't done this, then we might as well hear it from the Pakistani Foreign Office. We don't need the Saudi Crown Prince. So it remains to be seen. There's a very, very narrow window Because don't forget, Crown Prince himself is not a terribly welcome people in many countries. US Congress and Senate are gunning for him. The US President is the only one who's protecting him. Therefore, for him to be hugged and welcomed here, there should be a cost that he pays. So let's see whether he's willing to do that.
Well, General Hasnain, then, you know, how far can this coercive diplomacy work if key players like the Saudis and the Chinese are not on board? Are we going to hit a diplomatic wall?
You see, Nidhi, there's no doubt that in the last 30 years we have made some very strident efforts in diplomatically isolating Pakistan. We have achieved it in some ways, but most ways we have not been able to achieve it. What we have to understand, I think, is that Pakistan, its strategic importance to the big powers, particularly to Russia, China and the United States, in this particular situation, contingency, remains at a very high level. Because they are dependent on Pakistan to deliver the Taliban in Afghanistan. They are also going to be dependent on Pakistan ultimately to make sure that whatever agreement is arrived at is implemented by the Taliban and they adhere to that agreement. So to my mind, the next 1 or 2 years for Pakistan is a period in which its strategic importance is only enhancing. And therefore, much that we may want to do in diplomatic terms and much about the pressure which can come from countries like Saudi Arabia, I think we have something to live with. This is something which we will have to live with. It will keep increasing Pakistan's strategic confidence and it will keep looking at ways of how to hurt us.
Okay, well, I'm just going to read out, I've just got this, the joint statement issued by Saudi Arabia and Pakistan, okay, and this is important, Shami Baveja. Okay, it says, amazingly, that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and Pakistan reiterated their commitment to combating terrorism and expressed their deep appreciation for the sacrifices made by the two sides in the war against terrorism. That is one part of it. And also, you know, Saudi Arabia in this statement has praised Prime Minister Imran Khan for dialogue with India and the opening of the Kartarpur corridor, and said that dialogue is the only way to ensure peace and stability in the region to resolve outstanding issues.
There you are.
So, I mean, this is the statement. I mean, this says it all.
They're clearly living in cuckoo land because they should be talking about the recent terror attack. I mean, we are not talking about, you know, homegrown militancy within Pakistan. We're talking about Pakistan exporting terror into India. That's what we need to focus on. Nidhi, Saudi Arabia, of course, our relationship with that country has improved. Let's not forget we got Abu Jundal from the Saudis. He was the person sitting in the control room directing the 26/11 attacks. The question really now is India going to just pursue coercive diplomacy? And maybe KC Singh can weigh in on that. Or are we looking at military options? Because when we look at military options, honestly, I don't know if there is the possibility of a limited war. You can start it. And I only hope that a responsible country like India will not be guided by the principles of revenge and vindictiveness, you know, and walk the path of chest thumping and muscle flexing. Are we going to stop at coercive diplomacy, or are we looking at some kind of military option?
See, I just want to say I'm deliberately not talking about the military options here because I just find that ridiculous. I mean, for TV channels to now sit in, you know, will there be 10 planes, will there be 150 planes? So I'm not going to go on into that at all. I'm sure whatever military response there is, if there is one, is for the government to decide, which is why I really...
I'm talking about the government.
Yeah, absolutely.